Okay, and we are on air. Let me try and find the screen share so I can make sure it's sharing right. I'm going to share a couple different things with you first. Alright. So, talking about, mine was on local storage. And I didn't do like a PowerPoint presentation, I just kind of wrote up some notes, and then I have some links to some sites as well, so I'll show you some code presentation. So local storage is where you have capability to store the user input or store their information in the browser. And so previous to this, people were using cookies, but cookies don't have a lot of storage capabilities, versus local storage has way more, at least 5 megabytes, and it's way more secure. And all the pages from one origin can store and access the same data. So there's different types of storage. First we have session storage, and so that's where it's literally only storing it for that session, but it is storing it so that if you were to open it in several windows, you'd still be able to, it would know that you've inputted it in this other screen when you're into the next screen, so you're not losing what you've already input. Then versus like local storage, it stores it in that browser. Like you could leave, close the window, and come back, and it would still be stored in there. So for things that are secure that you might want to not like have after the fact, after they've already done that transaction, there is code for you to be able to delete the code that, or delete the information or the data that they have stored into that session and delete it at the end. So when I was going through this, I noticed a lot of it was, you guys have all taken CIP 260 with Java, when you made like the role-playing games. You guys took that class? So remember, I just remember like in that code, it was like everything was like get, set, get, set. That's a lot about local storage. When I was doing research and looking at examples, it was a lot of get and set. Like get their input, set their input, and that's what kind of stores it, is that whole get and set items. Not in every example, but I saw that a lot in the local storage. And I'm going to share, so I'm going to stop sharing this and show you a different screen so you can see. I'll show you my examples on, I want to make sure I have it up first. I'm going to show you like the working examples, and then I'll show you the code behind it. I make sure I have it up, I guess. All right. Sorry, it's not giving the right screen share. Let's try that. Oh my gosh. You guys just seeing a million boxes? I don't know why it's doing that. Are you guys seeing a million boxes? Or are you seeing like?
Yeah.
We're just seeing your desktop.
You see? Yep. You see where it says store name? Do you see that?
Yep.
At all? Okay, so if you can see that, so this is an example of the local storage. Well, so there's two examples I'm going to show you. So this one, like if I entered in my name and hit save, then I've had just pop up a stupid message that says, I have stored the name Katie, hit refresh, and click on retrieve name to test my storage capabilities. So if I refresh, I'm back here to a brand new page, and I click retrieve name, and it brings back my name Katie. So, and I could close out of this and come back as long as I'm in the same browser, and come back the next day, and I hit retrieve name, and it will bring back whatever was input in there last. So it's storing it until, even though I refreshed and left and got away, it's storing it within the browser itself. And so if I hit retrieve, it comes back. And then there's another example, and I'll show you the code behind for both of these, but there's another example. This is called number of hits. So it saves like I've already clicked on this page a couple times. It saves how many times this page has been clicked on. So if I hit refresh, it increases the number. Every time the page is visited, it remembers it, and it refreshes it. Now it's only remembering it specifically for this browser. This is, I think, on Safari. Like if I go over to Chrome, you're going to see a different number because of how many times I've hit it on Chrome. And if I go over to hit retrieve name on the one I've been working on Chrome, it will have a different name on there because it's whatever I inputted in that browser. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Is
gonna
there a certain amount of time that it allows you to grab it?
sorry, what?
Is there a certain amount of time that it allows you to, that it, like, stores it?
I think it just stores it until I change it. Because it's not session storage. Like session storage is just for that session. So once you're done, you're done. But local storage should store it indefinitely, from what I understand.
Okay.
Until
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like session storage where you can set the amount of time.
well, that's what the session storage is. Like if it's temporary versus local, like it's storing indefinitely unless there's that delete code I was talking about. Like if it's something secure and you don't want it to remain in the system for security reasons, then you can add that code in. And I didn't mess around with that code, but you can add that code in so that after it's done complete, it removes it from the system for security purposes.
So you don't know how to use that delete code?
No, I didn't mess around with that because I spent so much time messing around with this. So for someone who's doing the next topic, that might be a good one to cover. We'll be covering like how to delete it because I didn't get to that point because I was trying to get this to work. But I did see that that was an option in there. So yeah, anyone doing the next topic, definitely that's something to hit on. So I'm gonna stop sharing again and try to find my code so you guys can kind of see that. So. Okay, so I'm not sure. So this is the number of hits. So that was the one that's like it's every time you hit refresh. So when you use local storage, it's local storage dot hits, and the other one is local storage dot get item set item. So you're actually using the code local storage, and this is it's pretty simple. It's just like the iteration where it's adding one. So every time that I hit it, it's adding one to the number. And if you haven't done anything, it stays at 1, but it's just increasing it by 1 every single time with the message. It's writing the message every time that it does it. It increases the number, and then it says total hits 2, 3, 4. So this one was a pretty simple one, and that I kind of just basically copied over. This one I took about 3 different sources, messed around with them to get the code to work for this. So again. This is the get and set items. So I'm getting the element of my data, so I'm getting their input and then setting it to save in the server, and then when I retrieve it, I'm retrieving it from where it's saved in the server. The local storage has saved it to that spot, and then when I retrieve it, I'm taking it from that spot using the functions. And so that's where you're seeing the set item, get item. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained it very well.
So the local storage means you're saving that data on the server, or you're saving that data on their local storage?
I think it's just their browser, because like I said, if I'm on a different browser, it's like depending on what I put in. So I think it's literally just storing it there, like locally on their browser. I think it was like the code I was kind of modifying and looking at different ones they were using server, but I don't think I think they were just using it as a name. I don't really think it's saving to the server. It's just it's just saving it specifically to their little browser. It's not saving it. Like if I was on another computer, I couldn't go get that data that was served. It has to be specific to this browser.
Okay.
At least with this code, there might be options where, obviously with more advanced systems there is that option, but with this code for this local storage, it's just saving it to the browser right here. At least that's how far I got to work.
And then you're just using JavaScript to do all of it then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, and I'll put this presentation on here. In here, I put links to a bunch of sites that I found, and there was a couple of sites where they have like a bunch of working JavaScript examples of using local storage and things they've done with it. So yeah, it's really, and they, a lot of them just local storage dot hits, local storage dot set items. So there's just a lot of different variations that you can use with local storage. But I'll put all the links to the sites I use that were really helpful, like explaining what it does and why you use it, and then just like some cool working examples. And yeah, because the one example they had, it was just like they'd already input the name and it was like push the name out. I'm like, well, that's great. I want to be able to have people input it, save it, and then retrieve it. So that's when I messed around with the code and started adding things in there to be able to store the information, like to be able to put in what you want, save it, and then retrieve it. Because I was just trying to test, does this work? And so that was my way of being able to test it and saying, okay, it is storing it.
Gotcha.
So it's not, it's obviously not super advanced, but I've never used local storage before, so I was pretty excited when I got to work.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, especially for the first time we've seen it. So
yeah, because it took me a while to mess around with the code to finally get to the point where I was doing something. So, but yeah, I definitely think like as people start to talk on this topic, we'll be able to see a lot more advanced. But so from what I was able to see and get to work, I was like, ooh, this is pretty awesome. But I can just see how much more you can do with it than what I did with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, all the code I'll put up there, and then I'll put the links to the sites. The Smashing Magazine site, like for explaining it, they did awesome because they just do also the articles anyways. But then there's this one that's called like 9 JavaScript libraries. That was a good one for examples of working code. But I'll put all of that on the GitHub and in the Drive folders. So, any other questions? I hope it was confusing.
I don't know if you read about it, but are there any security problems or concerns that you have to watch out for when you're doing that?
They're saying it's more secure than cookies, but there still is security problems. Like there's definitely things that you need to work on to keep it more secure. Because there was a couple of, when I was reading through, there was a couple of guys discussing it like on forums and saying that there was ways to hack it. There's lots of ways to hack everything, though.
Right.
But they really didn't get in ways on, or at least where I was seeing it, and probably with more research I could find it, on what things you should do to prevent that and like keep it more secure. And they're saying it's more secure than cookies, but it's probably still not super secure, like as secure as it could be. You probably need to add more things to it for that to happen. But
I do have a quick question. What about that underscore server document root? What does that do?
where are you at?
At the top.
The PHP include?
Yeah.
That's me. That's PHP. That's what I'm doing is I'm linking it to. I'm making my website modular, so I'm linking it to my navigation that I have on another folder over here, so that when I change my navigation, it automatically changes on my pages. That has nothing to do with the JavaScript. That's okay. My website.
What class did we learn that in? I just took it. And I can't remember what class it was.
CIT2.
Front end.
Yeah,
front end development. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just for my
pretty
site.
good.
That has nothing to do with the Java. The Java is only what's in here.
Cool.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing, and I will post all that. And I hope I didn't confuse anyone. And thanks. Sorry.
Thanks for
Confused.
I'll probably have way more questions next week.
Yeah, it was kind of a hard topic, but it was a fun topic, and it was interesting. It's exciting just to see all the stuff that you can do with it, and I didn't really realize it was out there. So,
Was it easier than you thought?
You know what? First I was pulling my hair out because I was like, I don't know how to make this work. But then once I really thought it through, it was easier than I thought it would be. Like I really thought I would struggle with it the whole week, but it only took a couple hours of fighting it before I got to work.
Okay.
So it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be, because I've had way more frustrating programs that I tried to get work and just was like pulling my hair out. But I didn't even have to get better James's help. I almost did, but I got it working by myself. So. All right, who's next?
I'll go. Let me share my screen here. Hopefully my internet doesn't cut out or anything like that. Good old CenturyLink.
Yes.
As soon as I'm done with that contract, they're gone.
Did we lose Tyler?
Yeah, Tyler's gone and James is still here. That's good.
Silvera's gone. I knew that, but Tyler left. Okay. Can't go to work.
Oh, yeah, probably. Alright, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Alright, cool. I have too much fun with the PowerPoints, I'm sorry. You've been warned. I love their little, ever since high school. Alright, so I did mine on CSS transitions and transforms. Kind of go into a few different options that you have with CSS transitions. The first one is that you can use timing functions. The timing functions have multiple different speeds that you can use. So, for example, if you want a little box to come zooming into your screen, you can determine how fast or slow, or if it multiple different ways that you can have the timing functions work. The first one is ease, where the effect is a slow start and then it gets faster, and then slows back down when it ends. I'm going to have a couple of samples so you guys can see as well, so don't worry about that. Second one is linear. It's the same speed the entire way across, so it doesn't change, doesn't go slower or faster. Ease in is a slow start. Ease out is a slow end. Ease in, out, which I actually used a lot because it's kind of fun. Slow start, so it's slow at the start and at the end. Cubic, I'm going to butcher this next word, Bezier. Defining your own values. Values are numeric between 0 and 1. So basically you have 4 different times that you're showing the speed that you want of each transition. So if you want it to be like 0.5 seconds at the first, 1 second, 1 second, 0.5 at the last, you determine how fast your transition is going to go. And then, of course, you also have delays when it comes to CSS transitions as well. Transition delays allow you to trigger things after an event has occurred. What that means is, for example, I saw on one of the websites I was looking at, this person had a circle in the middle, and you would hover your mouse over the middle, and that would trigger the event. And he had 9 different balls, though, in that display. So once it was triggered, the first ball would go, and then a delay, and then the second ball would start going, third, fourth, fifth, and so they'd all go at different times, and that's how a delay works for you. Objects can be delayed to take an action after the initial hover, for example. That's pretty much what I just said. And then also with CSS transitions, you have animationable properties, ideas to animate. So you can animate your background. So for example, switching the colors of it, which I'll show you some examples of. You can animate the borders. You can animate colors, like text colors, border colors, background colors. Height and width of the boxes or of text or of anything basically that you have on your JavaScript, you can animate and change the height and the width of. You can change the animation with, you can have animation with padding as well, and then also borders, margins, etc., etc. So with transitions, you can also do transforms. A little bit different. Transforms are more of a 2D and 3D view. The first one are 2D transforms, which you have your translate, which moves an element from current position. So for example, if you want to move your box from the left side of the screen, you can move it over to the right side. You can rotate. You can scale, so you can make or decrease the size of the element. You can skew it on the x-axis, skew it on the y-axis, or just skew both axes if you'd wish. And then also you have the matrix. What the matrix does is that it takes each one of these, so it'll take your translate, rotate, scale, skew, both skews, and put it all into one. Oh, it doesn't like that. Let's switch back. So right there you can see what the parameters are for a matrix. CSS transform, here's the 3D version that we're looking at now. So a 3D version, you can rotate 3D. So you can actually rotate 3D on any of the axes if you want. You can just do X or Y or Z or all of them if you really wish. And then you tell it how much of a rotate you want. If you want 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees is kind of pointless, but you can if you want to. Translate 3D. You can also do a matrix 3D, which takes all 16 values that you're going to have in there. You can also do a scale 3D, so you can shrink, make bigger,
Sorry, Adam,
translate. Yeah, go ahead.
what do you mean 16 values?
Sorry, I should have put that a little bit below. So basically what it takes is, oops, I went too far. Basically what it does is it takes the translate, the rotate, and the scale, and each one of those axes, so the x-axis, the y-axis, the z-axis, so the matrix combines them all, combines all the different transformations you can do.
Okay.
I need to look a little bit more into that one. I didn't have enough time to have fun with that one. So I'm going to show you some examples real quick so it makes a little bit more sense. Let me get rid of the laser pen. Like I said, I like to have fun with PowerPoint.
I'm actually really impressed that that does that. I think that's really cool.
Alright, so I'm going to open up my website here. Alright, so this is a little thing I created. I'm from Washington, so that explains the colors. I'm sorry. So the first one I did, what's that?
Is like Washington what? What team?
You'll see in a second here. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks.
Okay.
So this first box right here, when we hover over, it's going to change colors. So it has a transition in there, so it's a 4-second transition. So it takes 4 seconds to go from the blue over to the green. The second one I messed around with a little bit. This one not only changes colors, but it also does a 180 flip as well.
Cool.
And you get out of there and it goes right back to where it was. So that's a 2D or actually that's a 3D transition right there. And then the last one, I used the, it's kind of a shrinking one. It's called a, oh geez, I can't remember what it's called. It's in my code. But I think it's, let's go here. Oh, ease in out is what I used on that one. So those are some examples of transitions you can do in transformations.
Oh, that's cool.
Those are awesome.
Could you show us the code behind those just to kind of give us an example of it?
So it's, let me go to the GitHub real quick.
And while he's doing that, does someone like transitions versus animations?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, I was
So kind of like when I was doing the reading, I was kind of thinking that transitions meant it started like it did something when you clicked on it, versus animations did it based off of time. Is that not the right thinking? I don't know.
I think animations isn't that when you click on it, and transition is when it hovers? That's at least what I was seeing on everything I was looking at.
So when it hovers is transition, and then animations clicking on it, like when you actually.
I believe so. I'm not positive though.
It seems like it's a lot of the same. Like you can do a lot of the same things. So I'm just trying to think what specifically makes it a transition and what specifically makes it an animation.
Yeah.
I might ask Brother James that.
Yeah, definitely.
I could ask the internets.
Yes.
But here's
Yes.
some of the code I would use. You have your basic for, all the different, you have your basic one. And then I broke it down. I have one of the boxes with alpha, one with beta, one with gamma. I was bored, I'm sorry.
Cool.
And then I just had these little divs down here, and that was all that it began with, was this for the body. And then for the transitions, I just hover over and it switches over. So for the one that was flipping, you have right here transform rotate Y, so it rotate on the Y axis 180 degrees. And then the background color changed to gold, and the padding, if you noticed, increased 100 pixels. And that's this guy right here. So it gets bigger, it flips, and changes colors.
Okay.
So the beginning is where like it just says hashtag background beta, and then the second one is where it ends up is the hover.
Correct. Once you hover your mouse over it is what it does. Is when it
Okay.
transitions
And yeah,
or
and
transforms.
And that's the difference between the transition and the animation. An animation will just animate on its own. The transition is looking for a trigger, which is that adding that hover on there or something that triggers it to start.
A click or a hover or something that transition or
Yeah.
make it go.
Yeah,
That makes-
according to the internet.
So versus like an animation is like a timed effect. Like once you're there, 30 seconds, then it'll just start on its own.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, in my code, I added an animation to a hover effect, so you could still do it that way, but it's really the transition is something that I have no idea what I was going to say. I lost it.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
James, are you next? You still here?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
Let me screen share with you guys. If I can open up the right. Where did you guys go?
I'm right here.
we see you.
Yeah, I was just trying to find the page that you guys are on.
Oh, you lost us that way.
Okay. So I was on the phone listening to you guys, but I couldn't see your screen. Okay. Let me screen share.
Oh, that's why there's two Jameses.
Yep, because I lost my speaker headphones. My nieces and nephews are always coming over and they run off with stuff, so.
Mm.
Ah.
Okay.
You got to stop letting them come over.
Yeah. That's the solution. Okay, I'll start with this PowerPoint I prepared. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Can you guys
I'm
see
on
my
the wrong
PowerPoint?
James. There we go.
Okay, let me make it big. Alright. So, mine is on JSON, and I had kind of a hard time deciding what to show you guys because JSON is kind of behind the scenes type thing. So, that's fine. So basically, JSON is basically a way to create objects out of information so that you can pull the information from it, like using JavaScript, and it's like an alternative to reading from a file and reading from a database and those other options out there. And I'll explain where it can be used in the real world later. So basically, you enter everything into the JSON format, and that's how you can access things. And what it starts out with is each JSON object has a value pair, and so they have a name and a value, and they're both surrounded by double quotes and separated by a colon.
Yeah, I only see black. Does everyone see a screen? I only see black.
I do see a screen. Switch to the other James.
Switch to
Yeah.
the other James.
I'm sitting here in the dark, so you can't see anything except the dark unless you.
Oh, hold on. There we go. Now I see it. Okay.
All right. Can you? Okay. Good. That the formatting is pretty simple though, so I'm not really terribly worried that anyone's not going to understand that. But and then you just surround an object by the curly braces and separate each object. Well, not each value pair for the object. So you can have a last name, first name to the object. And so then, just like DOM, you can access by ID, you can access by the name and, to find the value for an object. And then also at the bottom of this slide, you can see that you can also create an array of these objects, and you separate those curly braces by commas, and each one must have the same names within them, but they can have different values. And didn't I just share this one? Oh, and then you can basically call, using JavaScript, you can call each of those names by, if you can see my mouse, you know, you select you write in the object's name, and then the name, and then the index here. So this would be index 0. So if you were calling the first name of index 0, it would be John. And let me show you that. Let me show you some of my code really quick. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can read this.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can read it, good. This is my call here, and so I have my JSON, and it's just a list of students, and it has a name, age, major, grade, and title. And then I was going to make a table, but I thought it would be good to show it both ways. And so what I have here is name is age. If you see here, I called each of the different names from the index here. And then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. And there should be a table here, but it broke. But I have it on W3 Schools, I can show you. Basically, just you can call those things and insert into your text here. So James is 25 years old, studying software engineering, and is currently a sophomore. And so it just makes it so all this information is easier. You know, you can write it in just as if you were reading from a database. And also the table, since I couldn't get the table showing for you guys, I got it on W3 Schools, and I'll have this ready for when I put it on GitHub. But basically, you can parse through the JSON, and just like I inserted it into those words, you can insert it into a table. I don't know. I feel like this is super simple. I don't know how much I need to explain that. You guys have any questions so far? Otherwise, I can show you how I use it at work.
Is there any less wordy way to create that array? Like do you have to type out name and age and last name over and over and over for everybody that you're doing?
Usually you would generate it in a different way. So what I did is, I typed it in manually, and that's not very easy or reliable.
Mm-hmm.
My work, maybe if I show you what my work does, it will make a little bit more sense.
Okay.
My question is, what's the difference between JSON and just like JavaScript?
JSON is a way you can store the information as an object. So you can do it in JavaScript too, but JSON is a simpler, easier way it's really easy it's really easy to parse through everything because the computer can read it quicker, and it's easier to read as a developer.
Okay.
So you can put all that into one object and then pull names out of that object instead of having to parse through a file. Because you can also write it in a file and separate everything by commas. But from my perspective, I always thought that reading from a file was really confusing. But JSON just makes total sense. It feels really simple and easy to me. I don't know if it looks that way to you.
Well, for me, I'm looking at it and it just looks like JavaScript to me. So I'm just wondering, like, So it's just simplifying it, kind of condensing everything.
Yeah, you can condense it all into those two curly braces. It's instead of having variable for each of those names, you can put it all into one variable, into an object. And you don't have to create a class or anything for it at all. So.
Okay. So it takes out a little bit of the steps.
And so how my work uses it is we have this website that I showed just a second ago here, and we do all these transferring thing. The project that I presented to you guys, the transferring project, we've already created that. And
we
and
could have
so-
used that. I changed my vote.
So you can take a sublot of 123, 123 and search, and it pulls up all this information here. And the way it does that is it generates it from the database. And so all this information is thrown together into JSON, and you can't see that on the screen. That's why it's kind of hard for me to really present JSON to you guys. You can't see the JSON here. I think I might be able to show it to you in Firebug, but I haven't really... Let me see if I can do that. No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can do that. But I'll show it to you a different way. Have you guys ever used Postman?
No.
No.
Postman, basically, you can get, you can pass a URL and use a function that just returns JSON or XML or a message or something like that. And so you just enter in the URL with the get or post here. And so I entered in a lot number and a part number to get information to see if that lot number is usable. So if it's expired material or whatever, it will say this is expired and doesn't work. Does that make sense at all?
Kind of.
Sorry. So, and then it returns here that this item, so this lot number, is not usable. It doesn't exist. So these are three different informations that are returned in JSON, so it can be read on this screen here. So if I search for lots by lot number for tester 7, it doesn't exist, and so it's going to give me an error message, or it will just return a blank page, I think, in this case. So you don't see any of the JSON, but that's what's returned, and that's what's sent through behind the scenes. I hope this is all making sense.
It kind of is. I think maybe once I look at the code a little more, I'll be able to see it. I'll just say I'm glad you understand it and that you're on our team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, if once you play with it, I think it will be a lot easier.
It looks like it's the same syntax as Java. I mean, you have your arrays. It looks like you have functions, things that way. So it looks similar.
Did you guys ever look at the schedule? That I don't know who posted this, but we can run this. This is also using JSON. Let me show it to you.
I think that's what Megan did.
Probably posted that.
Yeah, my original, but someone else worked on it too.
Yeah, if you look in here, the schedule has. Here it is. This is the schedule. This is all JSON right here.
Oh, yeah. So Megan did the JSON part as her first thing, and then I added in the loop.
Yeah, see, that loop just reads through it and it checks for the name student to return the value. And so all that is returned on this page. You can say we want to see how many. Let's just do 9 because you pick 9 scheduled events and it returns the name here. So that's the value of when I look at the random of student. The value of student is Katie, right here.
Okay.
So
Another really nice part, from what I understand of JSON, is it allows you to use databases and parse databases and stuff like that. In text files.
yeah, and that's what my work does. They do it all behind the scenes because what we do is we send out that information from our we can access the database from our app, but then when we send it to somebody else's app, they can't access our databases, so we have to send it to them in JSON.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, sorry I'm not very good at explaining
That
things.
makes it more secure too, doesn't it? Just because they can't access your databases, you're just giving it to them like a filtered form.
Yeah, we don't want them to write anything into our database, that's for sure. Yeah. So they have no control over it, which is good. So yeah, that's my presentation.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys. If you have any questions, just ask me, and I'll, when you're going through the code, you can just email me. So.
Perfect. So I think that's all of our presentations for this week. I said we need to have a few more sign up. James, do you
I'll
sign
jump.
up? Adam, you need to sign up for at least another one.
Yeah,
No,
I think
that's
I
fine.
do
I'll
too.
jump on there and sign up.
Tyler needs to sign up for another one.
Are we supposed to do 4 total, or are there enough of us that we don't have to do 4?
Just 3 total, and then I think there's I think I signed up for 4, but I think everyone else is 3.
If anyone has to do repeats, we should
I've
definitely.
signed up for 5.
You're up for 5, Kevin?
Yeah.
You need to take one off so someone else has.
Okay.
Wait, where's this sheet at now?
It's in the Google Drive.
Yeah, click shared with me, and it should be pretty easy to find. There's
Your
a team
browser-
folder.
Do homework
Yeah, I see the team folder.
with all your tabs.
And if you go down, you're going to see our schedule.
Yeah, I'm only signed
I'll
up for
find it.
2, so I should probably take up one of these CSS3 ones.
If anyone ends up having to repeat, we should end up talking about that and try to balance it out so no one has to repeat any subjects.
I don't think anyone is repeating right now.
Yeah.
So let's say Tyler needs to sign up for at least 1 more. Kevin, you should take your name off of 1.
I did. I took myself off CSS3 transition since it was so similar to animations.
Yeah, that's probably good. So Tyler needs to sign up for at least 1 more. Probably 2 more. Sildar needs 1 more. Adam, you need 2 more. So I think we're going to get top 3. James, you have 2 right there. So maybe 1 more. I have 4. I think everyone should have 3 or 4.
I'll jump
I'm
on
gonna
there and
sign up
sign up
for-
again.
Sign up for animations here.
But for now, I need to jump off. I have another class chat to go to attend now, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Have
Have a
fun.
good
Sorry, guys. Thank you. We'll see you.
night. Yeah.
Okay, so then I don't want to just sign Tyler up for anything, but especially if he has to leave. So for next week, all we have is we have Kevin and Silver for next week. Everything will get covered. Looks like.
I have a question. So, what are we supposed to post? What are we supposed to share with each other? Should I share my PowerPoint and then the code, or?
So you can put your PowerPoint either in GitHub or just in the Google Drive. The Google Drive works fine, and then just put your code on the GitHub.
Okay. Yeah, I want to add one thing to my code, and then I'll submit it.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we'll plan on next week.
Same time.
Yeah, at least Stiller and Kevin, if anyone else signs up. Maybe I'll put that in a little chat so that Tyler and everyone else can try to sign up for a few more spots. For their chat. Okay. I will post this video. You guys have a good week.
You
All right.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, you too.